Welcome to Decentral Lens, where lifelong friends Blutoshi and Disco navigate the ever-evolving crypto landscape. With genuine curiosity and a commitment to nuance as our North Star, we offer clear-eyed exploration. Our goal? To empower listeners with the tools and insights needed to flourish in this decentralized age.
What is up, everybody? This is an exciting show. This is a really exciting show. We have with us live the one, the only Scribe. Scribe, welcome to our show. We are so excited to have you on.
Yeah, I'm excited to be here. It's going to be fun. Let's get into it.
Yeah, absolutely. A few words at the beginning. He is all business. I love it. So obviously on my right or left, whichever way, I'm always mirrored on here. I don't know. Is the one and only Disco. Disco, how are we doing today?
The one and only. I'm doing well. I'm super stoked to have such a prime guest, and it's cool to kind of connect in person. You know, we've kind of been working together or seeing things, over the last handful of months, and it all just kind of came together, on Halving night, and we got a lot to get through. So I'll kind of keep quiet and let's roll.
Yeah, absolutely. Scribe, I just have to say, we defined it last Friday when we had our 4-hour spaces. I literally took like a 13-hour nap after that. But you had said that we had been doing this for I think it was 89 days. So it was almost exactly 3 months where you and I met. We met Third Web, Keith Moon, and I mean, there's probably 50 or 60 Nifty. You probably already knew Nifty, but there's so many people that we met, and obviously, we met you, right? And I reached out to you, I remember when RSIC dropped, the day it dropped, I was like, what is this? So I was like, oh, here comes ETH airdrop season, and then I think a lot of people were like that, and then all of a sudden, a day or two later, I'm like, wait. I'm intrigued. My little mouse mind kept going, and so I started writing detailed posts, and then I saw you wrote really good detailed posts. B-Ways, I can't remember, Wanzi I think was writing stuff, and I reached out to you first. I'm like, and Disco was out of town. He was skiing for the weekend, and I was like, I woke up Friday morning and I reached out to you. I'm like, I think we need to just do a spaces, and you were like, I'm in, and that was it.
Yeah.
Dude,
I was literally about to create. Yeah, I was going to create a space within the hour and just start blabbing to see who might join us and want to listen in, because everybody was just abuzz with excitement for what is this new thing? Airdrop season has just begun. What is RSIC? Should I sell it? Should I keep it? What does it do? Who built it? All of these questions were circling in everybody's minds, and so I was this close, and then you reached out, and I was like, let's do it. Let's collab. And it's been fun. It's been an excellent journey. Building, getting to know you guys, and talking about the space in general at large, as well as, the micro of RSIC and its ecosystem. And I think we've got a long road ahead, because I talk a lot. So I'm going to keep doing it.
I will say you do and you don't, though, because Disco and I were talking about this, and I think I threw this out to you too, Scribe. The more we do spaces, there's actually, because I listen to other people's spaces, I think 98% of them are absolute garbage. And I think one of the things, I think what makes a space really bad is when everybody's just talking over each other, and then it just gets stupid. Because for me, it's about raising the flow and raising the vibe and raising the ideas, where we're all it takes a while to warm up, kind of like we're doing right now. But everybody, all of a sudden the frequency in the room and everywhere across the world is raising, and really cool ideas are coming out. I mean, that's how we spitballed. Obviously everybody had pooling ideas, but we really kind of live spitballed how to do it. And then Damon kind of brought us home with a couple technicals, but that was all just live with a whole community. And it was such a cool thing.
Yeah. And I'm not going to soapbox too early, but I will say, getting kind of looped into this and going on kind of the whole journey and adventure of discovery. I remember the first time I was my mind started getting blown about holy cow, they're referencing Voltaire. And what does this mean? I think the content that was provided from the white paper and the air of mystery, really, and kind of creating this community in kind of a new way. You know, it wasn't just like a collection, like an NFT collection or an ordinal collection, and yo, this is, it wasn't aping in and all that. It was like you had to have some nuance and thought and critical thought, and it was like kind of like a group discovery. And you two totally led the charge in terms of being like the guides and, well, what about this, and having the answers and all that. But I think that it was kind of a, we'll look back at it as kind of like a magical, unique time to kind of have a new sense of community and shared kind of discovery, and with a shared goal. But I think that the tone was set early, and I hope that it can represent kind of a new way to look at some of these groups and communities of operating with respect, and operating with there was very, very little shilling, very little kind of bag pumping. It was really like, let's get in this together and let's try to get answers. So I credit both of you for really kind of hopefully setting a tone, or a new sort of tone for these sort of operations moving forward.
Yeah, we appreciate that. And I think it's honestly like, and obviously Disco, the feeling is mutual right there too. So we appreciate you. But I think it's honestly, from my perspective, I don't want to speak for Scribe, but it's a genuine, Bitcoin is already a rabbit hole that goes in 1,000 directions and a million feet deep in every direction. And obviously Runes on top of that is even more so. I think we all just approach it from such a point of curiosity that it's hard. I don't even say the word fail. It's hard to like I'm so curious about this stuff. I can't stop asking questions. And of course, who knows more than me on this stuff and who has all the nuanced details? Well, that's Scribe. So it's like a perfect fit. I'm like, but wait, what about this? So yeah, Scribe, we appreciate you. I don't know. What's your thought on that?
Yeah, I mean, I totally echo all the sentiments you guys just touched on. I think it's been like a really organic growth. We sort of, the ordinals community sort of just found themselves in a mine, as it were, with pickaxes. And we just started swinging together and see what we can discover. And then, gems started falling upon us, raining down from the ceiling above. There might be some toxic gases in there that we were able to clear out with the little canary, as an analogy. But it's really cool just to come together with people from not only all walks of life, all parts of the earth, different countries, different nations, different nationalities, ethnic groups, different personal belief systems, different personal preferences as far as art goes. You might like this kind, that kind, this artist, generative art, pixel art, original art, anything. You might, whatever the animal that you like, it doesn't matter. What Runestone, or not Runestone, but what RSIC did, and Runes in general, has brought people together outside of those tribes to kind of have this group effort to say, hey, let's align around this new protocol. This is an exciting time. I mean, that's what gets me. It's historic, in my opinion. I wasn't here super early for Bitcoin. I came around in 2018. And so it's been a while. 6 years feels like 15, but it's only been 6. And I wasn't this gray when I started. I still got the black on top, but it's been a wild journey. And I think that we've got a long way to go. But this particular edifice or precipice of where we are now with this new token standard going live on Bitcoin is different. And here we are, just 1 year, a little over 1 year into ordinals at large. Like when I saw ordinals in January, it blew me away. I was instantly locked in last January in 2023. And I haven't come out of that rabbit hole since. And then the rabbit hole just went deeper and deeper and deeper. And eventually I was able to pick up an axe and start swinging and mining. It was put in my hands, and now here we are. So it's been a fun journey.
Yeah, it's crazy. If I didn't have the black and white filter on, I would be showing my gray hairs too. They kind of blend in. But I always think now, I'm like, when we all retire, and Disco, I think you touched on this at the beginning, like all of us who went through this, whether it was the shared pooling or whether it's just this whole, even Bitcoin and the whole ordinals experience, not even to mention what's going on with the runes and what's in the future. Are we just going to look back in this era like that was so cool? Like, I think this is honestly, I think the people, like at some point it was the guys in like Soho or whatever, wearing hush puppies or whatever. Like there's always like a center of cool. LA's had it forever. New York has it sometimes. It switches back and forth for the last many decades. And now it's not in Silicon Valley now. It's not in Wall Street. It's here. It's everywhere. It's globally, and it's tying us together in such new ways that, like, you know, if this was 15 years ago, the three of us would be like, let's start a media company together. And then let's dish out like who owns what. And then let's work together. And then I'll do marketing. And now it's like, we come together for this project and that. And then, you know, Scribe's working with the slugs and he's founding that whole thing over there. And then I do this over here. Disco does this, Disco and I do that. Like, it's so much more fluid now. We almost have to unlearn everything we've learned to relearn how to be decentralized global, like Bitcoin citizens. And it feels fucking great.
Well, what's so awesome about it from that perspective is, you know, you're talking about kind of these different movements where you just had, you know, breakthroughs in art or thought or whatever it may be. And I think that the advent of this sort of technology where we're able to communicate and jump on and do these sort of productions, you know, wherever we are, really adds this global element. And I think that Scribe, you totally hit on that. It's like we have people coming together for spaces or whatever it may be from all different time zones, all different walks of life, all different parts of the earth. And one of the things that I find so freaking great, and there was a couple moments in some of the spaces, the more recent spaces, was you had folks on totally different parts of their journey, you know, and you had people that, you know, are working a full-time gig and putting what they can into RSICs or into Bitcoin, and they're laddering up and they're doing that. And it's all, you know, kind of, I hate to be so kumbaya, but I really look at it as, you know, it's a way to kind of ladder a lot of people up together, and people who have kind of the interest and the insatiable, you know, desire to learn more are kind of culminating and coming together. And I'm just, you know, I can't even imagine where, once people figure out what they can build and what they can do and see kind of that execution, where we're going to go with this. And it's just, you know, so everybody involved has that same unique kind of passion, and we're all kind of tapped into something. You know, I thought that, you know, the Halving and the Runes on Friday night, like I thought it was going to be taking over CNN and everything, you know, like everyone's going to be going crazy. Yeah. And then I'm like, oh, I got to get on Spaces, see who's on Twitter, you know, who's on X. It's like, so it's still not like the guy next to me on the airplane knows what I'm freaking out about and what I'm so stoked about. And I think that kind of makes it more special and fun.
Yeah, totally agree. I mean, I thought the same. I would say the only negatives in this space, as we have all come together, the only downsides that I have is there's two things. Number one is greed. It can corrupt people. But number two is the time zones. I hate it because I'm constantly up. Yeah. I haven't slept much in the last 5 days. I know not Disco, but I know Blutoshi had a really good nap. I wish I could take naps. I can't. Once the sun is up, I'm up. My body just does not agree. Yeah, if I take a nap, I'm ruined for the rest of the day. My wife, she can sleep for 4 minutes. Cat nap and then be refreshed and ready to go. Not me, but
dude,
it's incredible.
You want to transport to another solar system? You just take like a 3 to 4:15 nap, and it will port you to another world. And sorry, Scribe, I kind of cut you off at the end there. My apologies. But I think one of the things before we get into this, and this is not just an RSIC recap, everybody. This is definitely a Runes recap. But yeah. I think Disco touched on something that's so important as we get into this. So many, you know, in the ETH world, so many collections were like, we're better than you, punks, apes, like who gives a crap? And RSIC, whether they meant to or not, you know, it's a pretty smart goated team, but they brought so many of us together. Like I consider some of my quote unquote best friends in the space, and that will be solidified when I meet them, like, you know, Third Web, Keith, and some of these folks, and Nifty and so many others, like OMBs, you know, I mean, so many, obviously Node Monks, you know, and then we've got the Femojis, like, and I'm and Pups, obviously, like so many cool people and so many cool cultures all coming together. And it doesn't matter if it's RSIC, but let's just say we're all coming together for just the whole Runes experience together. It's just been so cool. And it's raised, it's that little glitch that ETH didn't have early in its ecosystem. And maybe it's more for the mother chain, because the mother chain, like Bitcoin doesn't care about, pups versus node monks, which I know is a kind of a mock fight they have anyway. They're both awesome collections, but Bitcoin doesn't care. Bitcoin doesn't care about Gary Gensler. Bitcoin doesn't care about Janet Yoda Yellen, right? Bitcoin is Bitcoin, and Bitcoin just does. And then we all support it like an ant colony. I mean, it's such a cool thing. It's hard to put into words.
So let's kind of get into it a little bit. And I just want to kind of just say something that ties into that almost perfectly, was that feeling on Friday night or whatever it was for wherever you were, across the world or the country as it is, when you saw for the RSIC community, at least, when you saw those lottery, when you saw the lottery results come in and you saw, like, hey, we won 4 out of 5 or something like that. And it was just like, it just felt like so serendipitous in such a crazy way that it was kind of, that was built together, that was proposed, it was accepted, the team got behind it. And then lo and behold, the 11th hour and everyone's like, dude, it's about to hit. And then you start getting that news. It was just, these crazy vibes were just floating around. So that was a really, really kind of intensely cool way to kind of see this thing launch and go. You're just like giddy, like, oh, we all won, so that's a very unifying feeling that even in certain communities, within communities, there's kind of infighting and, kind of, leveling up and, power structures within it. But it was just such a feel good vibe to kind of kick the whole thing off, I guess is what I'd say.
Yeah, it's as though we all kind of locked hands and just jumped over this chasm, this canyon together. It was unifying is the perfect term. I think it was great to be able to be a part of that with you, Blue, and I'm Pepe and Damon, and to get support from the team, and then all the great input from the community members. It was just dope. It was a really cool experience because again, it's not like I'm gonna be a founder and I'm gonna do this and I'm gonna just spearhead and put everything on my shoulders. We have to all depend on each other and come together and use each other's talents and giftings. And like Damon is incredibly smart as far as the tech goes. So he took care of that. Blue and I were able to communicate different things, and that's what we did. And Pepe was able to set up different channels to communicate. So it's dope, man. And the fact that we won 4 out of 5, I was shocked. I was astonished, man. I knew we had a good shot at like 56%, but man, you flip a coin 5 times and you get 4 out of 5. You can't ask for much better than that. And had we won 5, it might have been questionable. Thank God the team put everything on chain. Everything was on chain. There was no way to rig it. It was totally randomized based off of block hash values and a bunch of other stuff. So it was just, the Galaxy said that this is what it's going to be.
Yeah, and just to echo what both of them said, I'm Pepe. Yeah, just setting up the Discord Runes Collective, and now adding Satoshi Nakamoto. I think there's a Pups channel in there. I'm sure they've got their own, but now it's the Runes Collective. Obviously, it was what created the pooling, but now there's so much more communication in there, and I think we're seeing Runes as such a bigger play. And then Damon, follow both these guys, because Damon, just with his technical prowess and just like the tickers and the stats he was giving us with in Discord on the RSIC pooling and all that stuff, and just the price of Bitcoin and everything. Like the guy's just, he's beyond goated. So follow both those guys. It's interesting. You brought that up, Disco, and we were going to jump right into like Friday night and Runes in general. And the top, we'll probably start with the top 10, but the whole pooling thing, it was so exciting. Just the fact that the halving and block 840K finally came. I don't know how you guys feel, but the pooling, and we in representation of the collective got a lot of kudos, and we appreciate that. But the Runes debut and the halving and everything overshadowed all of that. So we almost didn't have time to celebrate, because it was time to freaking mint runes and like get in there and figure out what's good and what's not. So it's like we haven't even had time to exhale and be like, is a group like, holy shit, like that was awesome. Like, and it brought so many of us together. So I guess this is our chance to exhale and, you know, not self-congratulate, but just congratulate the community, because Runestone, none of the other collections have anything like that, where the community kind of was like to the team, like, come on, let's do this. And they were super busy with all that re-indexing stuff, because Casey made a lot of changes, and then they came above water and were like, yeah, it's a great idea. And then they got involved. Like I don't want to kumbaya too much and echo you guys too much, but I kind of I'm one of those guys who's like, of course my company should do well. And like, if we have a huge win, and not just taking a breath and celebrating. And I think it's like, let's fucking go. We did it. And that was awesome. Yeah. So anyway, so here, this is the Scribe. This is one of my favorite parts. Like, our top listener by far. And by the way, gentlemen, we're at 581. So definitely a new record already. So the video stuff's working. So everyone say hi to Scribe right here. This is Scribe, and then that's Disco. That's Disco, and then Blutoshi, the old guy. So here, check this out. Add to broadcast. So Nifty, I think, is the only one who is in the video. If you guys are watching, you've got to like go in, and then on the desktop, it's easy. There's comments on the side, but if you want to see your little moniker here and you raise something relevant, we'll answer any question. Otherwise, it's us chatting with Nifty the entire show and putting him on there. But here's the legend himself. Not only is Nifty the legend, but the legend himself. There he is, just in case you need to know who to follow. I'm Pepe, nice. Ready for service. So Pepe, we salute you back. Awesome job, dude. Awesome job. I know you've done Discords before, but just excellent job. Oh, now everybody's figuring out how to do it. Dry Land, welcome. So fun little tool here. We're already at 600 folks, and everybody, this is all about runes. Spread it around. Disco, you and I always forget. Just everybody spread it to every corner. Just post this thing, can't call it retweeting anymore. Just get the word out, because we're not the one goal that Disco and Scribe, and we talk about this a lot, that we have is we're not going to shill, or if we do, we're going to tell you it's our thing. Like, we're going to talk about slugs today, and I love the name. What is it? Bitcoin Comics. Yeah. Your Rune. So we'll get into that, but so we will talk about that, and we'll talk about one that Disco and I etched, which is probably going to be the number one rune of all time. I can't imagine it's not going to be. Little pun.
It's breaking. Dude, I don't know when we're going to drop that, man.
Yeah, breaking news. You guys are going to be blown away at the rune that we etched. But we just want you to know that this is we will promise to you not to overshill and to try and give our most candid take. Now, we have bag bias with RSIC, and I do with Satoshi Nakamoto, and now Bitcoin Comics, but we will do full disclosure. But we're also not going to apologize for ones that we don't like or ones that were questionable, because a lot have already rugged, and I'm sure more will. And some that we thought would rug have pleasantly surprised us. So now that we're setting up this show, Scribe, we're going to try and go 90 minutes. We want to bump into Good Things Show, maybe throw to Good Things Show. Honestly, we could talk for 5 hours. There's so much to cover, because even from the weekend, I wrote that article on Monday, the Runes report, and it was the weekend recap. And then I felt crappy, so I didn't finish until Tuesday. And I was like, I got to start over, because another day has passed and everything's evolved. So this space is evolving so quickly. And as Disco said, the 600 people in here and probably the 10,000 people who are so dialed into this, we know, and everybody else, how do you even explain this going to your local barbecue this weekend? I don't know if you do.
You can't. No. Runestone edicts. What are those? What are tokens? Most people that are not within crypto in general, they don't know about tokens, NFTs. They've heard of NFTs. They've heard that term, but we don't deal with NFTs over here. These are digital artifacts and ordinals, in evolved version, right? But trying to explain runes and fungible tokens on Bitcoin, no, we are so early. And that's good. There's a lot of friction still. You saw Unisat had some trouble. Some guys were getting the tokens burnt, creating cenotaphs. Some guys had UTXOs. I saw one guy who tried to sell $800 worth of some rune and lost 0.4 Bitcoin or something to that effect, 0.3, 0.4, a lot of money because the UTXO was attached. So that kind of friction, that's terrible. I feel really bad for that guy. But friction is to be expected, and so it'll take time. I mean, everybody looks back and harkens back to BRC20 and Ordi and what Ordi did, but
Right.
nobody really saw that coming. Everybody saw runes coming and expected it to just be boom, $1 billion market cap, every token that has a top 10 ticker. And, that's just not going to be the case. We have to have infrastructure set up. Right now, is your ticker cool? Is it early? Does it do something? Is there a project trying to incorporate it somehow? And if not, there's 7 or 8, I think 8 or 9,000 other tickers now that are just going to fall by the wayside. But soon enough, this place will expand and normies will come. I think not only just normies, people that are not familiar with crypto in general, but people that are very familiar with crypto, maybe trading on Solana and ETH and some of the other exchanges. But that does not, as that traffic comes in, it's not going to solve the problem of fees. So fees kind of change the dynamic. People want to do small trades. They want to turn $100 into $100,000 on Solana. They can make small bets. If you want to do that over here, it's going to cost you more. So
for now, though,
there's
right?
A lot of
for
dynamics.
Now, because our already L2s are starting to pop up, and I think some of them are claiming that they can do runes transactions for like a penny, and we'll get to those. But excuse me.
Yeah, I'm having discussions with two layer twos, ZK Rollup and another one. I won't name them, but some of the known players in the space, they're building the infrastructure, and it's slowly but surely, but also super fast. I mean, we're 15 months into ordinals, so people expect instantaneous action. When is the airdrop? We did the airdrop. When is the volume going to increase? Give it some time. When can I do this? When can I migrate over to this chain or that chain? All of that stuff will come, but it's going to take time. And as that stuff is built around, then we're going to really see the fireworks. And those who are here early, like us, and the people watching, they're going to benefit because you get in early, and that's always been the case. Get in early and hold long. Don't trade. Don't trade off of emotions. Don't look at the charts. Maybe close your laptop, walk in the park for a month, and then come back and see where we are.
I've always found. Go ahead, Disco. Go ahead.
So I'm just curious. Do you guys think that everything that happened? I just keep going to last Friday night because I have time stamped in my head. It was Friday night. I was in freaking South Florida. It was awesome. There was just great vibes. Do you think that more or less people outside of kind of ordinals were getting involved? Do you think it was still kind of just the same people in the same sandbox and playground, and we're still waiting to see people migrate in from other chains and allegiances to really get involved, and we're still kind of dealing with kind of the early crew that was already kind of in the mix?
Yeah, I've got an opinion. I don't know if you want to answer that, Blue.
No, dude, that's all you.
Yeah, come on.
No, I think the majority is people that were already in house. They were already in the sandbox. But when you have Prometheans, the cyber monks come over from Ethereum, and you have Meme Land through RSIC come over, that brought a huge influx. And then you have Solana traders trading pups. Now they're looking at runes, and I've got to bridge this over. What is BRC20? What is a rune? So we definitely have a lot more people that are aware and maybe participating, not en masse yet. I think that probably 70%, if not more, of the action that we saw, the etchings, the mintings, the listings and the tradings and so forth on secondary has probably largely been people that have already been trading ordinals back and forth. Not because not airdrop participants, because those didn't really start to roll out until later, but people that were expecting runes, knew about it, were prepared, had split UTXOs, the guys and girls that were listening to our shows and Good Thing Show and some of the other shows. We always say Good Thing Show, but English and Poly got to get a shout out too. I got to be more diligent to rep.
Let's just call it Poly. Call it Poly Show.
The Good Poly English Show. People that are listening to those shows, they were prepared, and those are the large majority of the participants in my estimation.
So just to go back to what you said earlier, where you were like, this is, shut your laptop, go for a walk and hold, right? So that's just such a obvious representation of why that strategy makes sense. Because you're basically, if you had anything or you got anything, you're basically selling to only the same little crew that was already in place. So it's pretty short-sighted in terms of a strategic situation, and it would be advisable to just let things play out, chill out, stop thinking that you got the Jenny wealth overnight, let it go, realize you're only 3 months into even the launch of, kind of the whole idea of runes and RSICs and everything like that. So we're just so early, and I just want people to kind of register with that and to vibe with that and just be like, dude, let this thing play out. Don't think that, hey, everything's going to have to move quick, because we still have to build so many things to really make this thing come up to the right level.
Yeah, absolutely. I've seen some different comparisons in the last 24 hours. Are runes the new counterparty? It's just a fad. Everybody was excited and expected so much,
Yeah.
and they kind of fizzled. I totally disagree. I think that it came and everybody had this euphoria and expected a rocket ship to go off past the moon to Uranus, and it kind of stalled out to a degree. But to your point, that's exactly what needs to happen is there needs to be some time in between. Anybody who was here for the birth of Ordi and BRC20 probably sold when Ordi hit $2 or $3. I know I did. I think I bought some and sold it for like $5 or $6. That was stupid because I was not thinking long term. I was just like, hey, man, there's like a couple $100 million of market cap. Let me get out of this. But we saw what that can do. We saw what fungible tokens on Bitcoin is capable of. And now we have an evolved version of that is better for the network. It's more efficient. Yes, it's not, like Solana and some of these other chains where people are trading high volume and very frequently. You want to scalp and look at the 1 minute chart and that sort of thing. That's not what's going to happen here. You got 10-minute block times. And so it's going to be a different flavor of the same sort of Kool-Aid, I guess, but much less, maybe raw organic sugar instead of high fructose corn syrup, but you're still drinking the Kool-Aid.
I like it. It's funny. You guys both touched on this, but I feel like the ETH maxis and someone made a really good point. Most of the morning shows, this is changing now. Like everyone's a runes show expert now, but I feel like the ETH maxis have kind of owned that morning shock jock radio time. They talk fast, they pump bags hard, and they FUD a lot. And they've been FUDding Bitcoin a ton. And it's like, the ecosystem isn't ready. This isn't ready. Like your marketplaces are still hanky. And I think it was B-Ways or one of the sages, and our thing was like, or maybe it was even Farmer Joe. They're like, knuckleheads, like the money is made as the infrastructure is being built. Once once Disneyland gates are open and all the highways are paved, like we're not looking for more investors anymore, you dipshit. So it's funny how, because, once these got influencers, they're going to have their little backroom side deals of pumping some completely ridiculously stupid meme coin. Maybe they're all Ponzi meme coins. I guess it doesn't really matter, but they're going to you're going to see this pattern of them all pumping this same coin, and they're going to go, and then we're all going to be like, oh, is that one I missed? And they're like, oh no, it's just a bunch of ETH DBs who are late to the game coming over and pumping, and they'll probably make money because they'll use their big audience's exit liquidity. But I gotta say, it's like those shows the spaces are hard to listen to anyway, but some of those shows are just unlistenable. But you're like, guys, it's so funny how all of us are so early to this space, including the ETH folks and everybody. Yet we see, even within this in the last couple of years, how people can congeal or kind of concrete their thoughts around like, oh, ETH is the only true. And you're like, keep your eyes and mind open. Like Disco and I and maybe Scribe, we're probably older than most folks in the space. And that's not to say anything, but most people our age have kind of congealed and have stopped forward thinking and like, it would have been easy for me in 2015 to get set in Bitcoin, maybe gobble a little ETH and just sit and ride it. But like I got into art, I got into NFTs, and now I'm back home to the mother chain and ordinals. And I feel like a kid in a candy store. Like I've come home, and it's the best feeling in the world to be here, knowing that, I may, in all of my bets, I may be wrong, but I'm having a good time, and I'm not betting the house on it. Maybe the car, but not the house.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think. Oh, go ahead, Disco.
no, I was just going to say is it was definitely worth the price of admission, just the intellectual and entertainment, just to have something to gnaw on and think about, and it never disappoints in terms of giving you more stuff to think about. And I just wanted to kind of press the pause button and just be like, dude, everybody just look at this from a longer lens and a bigger perspective, and it's gonna take a minute for everything to catch up to it. And it was just cool as hell to see some of this stuff launch. It was really cool to see drops actually come in and come to life and be, you see them actually hit your wallet. Like, just enjoy that feeling, because it is a legitimacy, and you are seeing kind of this runes reckoning right now of, where things stand, who's coming through, who's going to be there. And it would just be so, I just don't want, I just caution people of being too short-sighted and thinking, hey, I need to knee jerk and do this or that just because you had a big anticipation for something to happen. It has happened, and we're just in kind of the aftershock period right now.
Yeah, absolutely. So just a little housekeeping, Disco, just so you know, and Scribe, just so you know, Scribe's on like he's on like a 0.5 second delay. So when it's open for anyone to chime in, like I'm trying to give a little extra time, and I'm always the one to blurt first. So I was talking to myself, but he, just to make sure Scribe knows, like it goes to him. So Scribe, I think you're just a hair delayed, but I mean, this is great setup. So we're already 35 minutes in. Like I could feel the vibrations going up. The vibe is heating up. And we've just set the table, and it's funny. You always think, like Disco and I are always like, oh, we'll set the table. It'll take 10 minutes. And it's always like, there's so much to cover in just setting the table. And even that's not redundant. So let's just go there. Let's go to that first night. Scribe, after the marathon 4-hour show we did that ended, like 2 or 3 my time, where I just crashed after that and napped till like 7 or 8. It was earlier for you. Tell me about, like, as we approach the Halving and the Halving night, like what was the experience like for you? What did you like? What did you not like? Like, tell us what went on.
It was such a whirlwind of emotions. I mean, first of all, I had, in the middle of our show, I had to leave because I had an emergency at work. I own a delivery company. We had to fire a guy, and I had to go deal with some issues. Then I had
Work.
got back like 9 blocks before the happening, and I'm trying to set up. We have an etching, and then my dev is in Boston, and his indexer was his internet went down, so he was re-indexing, and I was trying to get caught up. So it was just high stress, right? But also crazy excitement because I know what's coming. We've been waiting for this since September when
Yeah.
Casey announced it.
Yep.
So the meeting of those two was like oil and water. And then I was preparing, and then everything just kind of went out the window. I'm like, okay, we've done what we need to do from a project standpoint. What can I do from a DGen standpoint? What do I want? I'm trying to look at Luminex and find out what are like the first block. Everybody wants to know what are the 0 through 9, and I didn't know immediately if you could how you could filter, to get the order. Yeah, now you can see it. You can go and filter by holder, by token or rune number, and all those different things. So my brother, he's texting me, my brother-in-law, he's like, hey, which one is number 1? I'm like, man, I don't know. I'm still trying to figure out this other stuff. And I etched a few. I got a few sleepers out there that I etched that are fun. Um, but it was just a really fun night. Everybody was looking forward to this. And Luminex, man, shout out to Luminex.
Yeah.
Their UI and UX. I told people the week before, like I was able to beta test this, and looking at it live on mainnet is just phenomenal. It never went down. It's so intuitive. And then I guess the other aspect that I was really chewing on and was gnawing at the back of my mind was a reorg. I was really counting on a reorg. So up until 6 blocks, I didn't really want to etch anything additional or do too much. And I was also in preservation mode, trying to conserve sats and make sure that I'm not, betting the house and getting excited. Oh, look at this ticker! Look at this number.
Right.
Let me just go 8 heavy because you never know what to expect. And sats are still the best rune, no matter what anybody says.
I know you, and you got to keep saying.
So
I love that on the show. You keep saying that because Disco and I like that. That's even off when we're just chatting. That's our mantra to each other. Like, cause he'll be like, I got to jump in. I'm like, jump into what? And I'll look at the timeline. I'll be like, dude, no. And I'll do the same thing. He'll be like, come back off the cliff. Like, don't jump, sats are the alpha. Like,
Yes.
stacking Bitcoin. Like remember, as we're degenning in this micro pool, Bitcoin is getting adopted. Disco, when did you say that the Hong Kong Bitcoin and Ethereum spot ETFs are going live, like next Tuesday or something?
April 30th. Yeah.
Yeah, so next Tuesday. So that's going live. Our ETFs, obviously they're already 15 billion net up, and that's with GBTC just tanking. Like, we haven't even gotten, besides the Sailor Monster, like company treasuries or pension funds, even like it's going to take them years just to get that crap approved. So the macro will go up too. So whatever you do in runes, like, stack sats. So sorry, I had to give that like public announcement, but I know Scribe, we're on the same page. But I love on the spaces, that the audio spaces that we all do together, I love when you say that, because it's like, I feel like every other show is like, no, you gotta buy Bitcoin slugs, which you should, they're awesome, but like pump, and there's no responsible, like, hey, at the end of the day, if you do nothing and just keep stacking Bitcoin with whatever kind of job you have, you will, not financial advice, be wealthier, period, the end, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think the metaphor of a casino, runes as a casino has been championed over the last few weeks leading up to this. And a lot of people have promoted it as that. I'm not a gambler in that sense. I don't go to casinos. Every time I lose. If I hit a slot or I'm on the table, I'm not good. I know some people that are great. They walk in and they walk out with 10x every time. But that's not my situation or my experience. So the fact that it is kind of compared to that is interesting. And if you continue along that metaphor or that analogy, once you get into the casino and you see all the bells and whistles, you hear the sounds, all the jackpots, you see people, doing their thing. It's a vibration, and it can draw you in and make you forget how hard you worked for that money in your pocket. Yes. And then you're willing to just gamble all of that money and then walk out, hopefully with a lot more. And so what we're doing here is trying to stack sats. Bitcoin is the hardest, truest form of currency that the world has ever seen and will ever know. I truly believe that. I've been saying that since 2018, when one of my employees told me about it. Like there's nothing better. Fiat cannot hold a candle to it. So stack sats, dollar cost average, and preserve that. Now you can leverage that and try to use it to increase your sats. The whole reason people are buying runes is so that they can stack more sats, right? But in order to do so, you inevitably have to risk some of those sats. So mitigating risk is like a fundamental requirement that you need to have in your mental framework when you're going into this thing. Preserve sats, keep your cold wallet cold, put it in the freezer, in the ice box, and put it on a different computer. I keep my cold wallet completely separate from anything I use for or my device that I'm trading with, because I don't want that temptation. I have to go in and restore the seed phrase until, all those steps and all that friction is a safety net. It's a safeguard. Exactly. Yeah. To prevent me from having that feeling of, oh man, you walk into the casino and everybody's pulling the thing and you hear the sounds, bing, 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 bing. That's tempting. And so to fight temptation, conserve, preserve, set the amount that you want to risk. And then maybe if you're lucky, some of these will hit in the next year and you will stack more sats. But if not, at least you preserve what you have.
Yeah. Well said. So let's look at night one. Which ones did you like right out of the gate? What did you, and if you want to share or not, like what did you mint? What did you like? And we can separate the prunes, which I think Bytes coined that phrase, the pre-runes versus the runes that never had a pre-mine. What were the ones that popped to you on night one?
Well, obviously, number one, the FEHU, I saw that and I was like, okay, this is number one. But then I looked at what the fee was going to be for me to mint. And by that time, it was, I don't know how many sats per VBOT. It was well over 1,000, approaching 2,000. And so I only got two. And I paid maybe $300 for two. And I know a guy who spent nearly half a Bitcoin for just, a couple dozen. And it was just, the fee rate was just crazy.
Whoa.
Ouch.
Yeah. And that hurts, but that's part of the game. It's like there's
is that the person who I think it is?
You may know the person. Yeah.
Well, it was in our three-way chat. Is that the thing you're referring to? Okay, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, so there's like this feeling of FOMO, and I had it, and I was ready to slide that ticker up and increase the lot, but then I was like, you know what? There's going to be a lot more tickers coming that I need to go into, and my strategy was to get a little bit of whatever I could, and then see what the fees did. I thought after 1,500 they might come down a little bit. I was wrong. It doubled from there. So I just kind of scaled in little by little, accepting whatever fees might come based off of mint supply, how much was left, what was the mint progress, I should say. So I got some Satoshi Nakamoto. I minted a decent amount of those early within the first block, I think, so that the fees weren't crazy. And then I just kind of waited and sidelined, and I etched a few. Um, we had to actually re-etch the Bitcoin comics. We had to. I didn't get that in the halving block because, yeah, it wasn't in the halving block because we got front run. I had another ticker, which I'm not going to share right now. Maybe in the future, that's kind of a sore subject. But
Okay, that's fair.
Bitcoin comics was always our number one. But we had an idea for number two that we put in. But again, my dev, his indexer wasn't caught up because his internet had gone down. So that was sort of a bit of yeah, that kind of.
So you could have been top 20 or 30 or 40 easy
with the fee that I paid, potentially. Yeah.
Oh, wow. And I know that, let's talk about FEHU for a second before we move on to Satoshi Nakamoto. I mean, there's so many avenues to cover here. So just on the post runes, what do we know about FEHU so far? They've said they're not affiliated with any of the other drops or teams like Satoshi Nakamoto or RSIC or anything like that. They say they're not. The mint was a bit of a cluster F. A lot of people, if the most wreckage I heard was based off that one. It's I don't know if you guys can see the screen, but for those listening, it's you can mint one at a time, and 99% were deployed to them. And even the team, this is why I never minted one. Early on, they were like, do not mint. Like, don't worry, we have a plan. So do you guys want to hear my theory first and we discuss that, or should we just discuss? So here's my theory on FEHU. It's either a goated team and they got the number one, and this is based off nothing, but I saw like smart guys out there like Wade's has been posting about this, Mattman, some of the ordinal punks, that it's either they hacked, like they said, into Ord and like just cracked the code and got that one slot, and then we're like, holy crap, we got number one. What do we do? Like that's my leading theory right now. Or my second theory is that it's a goated team, and because FEHU is I think it's like the most goated rune symbol. It's I think it's one
the
of
first letter of the Elder First Arc.
It's the most rare. I think it's the most rare RSIC too. It's like, I'm sure my fingers are backwards, but it's like that hook one, right? So that's what a FEHU is. All the Z's next to it is just odd and interesting. I guess you got to pick a letter. But I don't know. So that's my two-sided theory.
Doesn't FEHU stand for wealth as well? So it's kind of pretty good.
I think it does. Thing. Yeah, it's got multi-meaning. So I don't know, Scribe, what's your theory on FEHU? I didn't mint because I have a feeling as an RSIC holder, not that it's tied to RSIC, but as an RSIC holder, or as a, like, they're going with 99% supply unless they pull a complete RUNIX douchery move, like, hey, send Bitcoin to this wallet, or hey, like and retweet this stuff, which, yeah, engagement farming, no thanks. Like, they're going to have to find smart people like us and like Wade's and like Mattman to if they just got lucky and they don't know what they're doing, they need smart people to help guide them. So I don't know, Scribe, what do you think?
Yeah, I've got a few thoughts. I think, first of all, I don't know what to believe because there's two different accounts on Twitter claiming to be responsible for the deployment or the etching of this ticker. And I also think that they are a pretty smart team, potentially because one of those accounts, who may be the deployer, said that what they did was rebuilt the Ord client into like a pro version, a custom version of the Ord, so that they could kind of front run. And then they saw what happened. I think they got this ticker for $100,000 less than Decentralized paid. So, if that's true, and if that is the account that is really responsible for it, I think one of them is FEHU layer, and the other one, I forget the name of it, is FEHU something. Um, Either way it goes, if that's the case, then they're definitely capable devs if they were able to build a pro version of the org client in order to view what transaction to bump in front of. What they're going to do with it, I have no idea. Like I said, I only minted two because the fees were nuts. I went in just this morning. I bought a few more because they were only $20 and fees were up under 70 or 80 sats per VByte. So I bought a few more. I'd like to hold some, but again, I'm scaling in. I'm still in preservation mode. I want to preserve my sats in Bitcoin, deploy what I need to. Mint a little bit of this, a little bit of that, and see how it goes. I know that wealth is built with concentration, and then wealth is preserved with distribution or
diversification.
What is the word now? Exactly, diversification. So that's not really my approach because I'm not thinking I'm going to build wealth immediately in this space, in this new Rune space. So I want a little bit of everything, and I want to see what's going to happen, who's going to succeed. There's going to be some dying tickers. There's going to be some potential rugs. And the ones that pre-mine a heavy amount are the lead candidates for the potential rugs. So Satoshi Nakamoto had a big supply that was pre-mined in FEHU. So I went in just a little bit because I want some exposure, but I'm still very, very careful with my risk mitigation as well.
It makes sense.
Looks like Blue is talking, but he's muted.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you. We are, I was just sorting back to 0 to 11 to look at the early ones to go down the list, but we are over 10,000 now. So breaking news that just went in the last, probably around when the show started at 1:30. But we are over 10,000 runes. So what inspired Disco and I to etch a couple last night was Danny, is it Hwep? However you pronounce his name, the on-chain monkey guy. He was like, hey, just so you know, like we're going to do something cool for everyone who's etched under 10K. And I was thinking like, why didn't I just screw around and etch a bunch like sub 1K? Like it did, like just stupid, didn't dawn on me, but we etched a couple fun ones and we'll share those later, but we are over 10K. So that's kind of cool. Now are you, so with FEHU, it's kind of a wait and see. Like I figure I'll have time to gobble that because I mean, getting rid of that 99%, it's going to be interesting to see what the team does. If they're not tied to RSIC, I assume that could certainly help being pals with those guys, the team that has proven to be able to just airdrop like kings. I mean, so Scribe, I guess this is a perfect time. Let me know what you think, Disco, but tell us what the RSIC folks did for the Bitcoin comics and the slugs community.
Man, well, if you haven't seen my tweet, the Runes dev, who was the goated dev of this entire space, he helped to facilitate our airdrop, and that's incredible because if you understand what needs to happen to airdrop runes, until mainnet went live, there were some questions about how this could happen, how this could occur, and so for the last few weeks, I've never really pushed BTC slugs like I wanted to. First of all, like we don't hold a big amount of the slugs. We're not financially incentivized to try to get people to pump the bags. This is not what we do. I want to create art. I want to put my name on the Bitcoin wall and create a community and poke fun at Bitcoin maxis, and that's what we're here to do. But I knew that there was a lot of unknowns, and so when mainnet launched and we had our stuff ready to go, then we're trying to plan to map it out. It was clear that the only way that you can send airdrops is like one by one per block, unless you really, really deeply understand Runestone edicts, which is like the message that contains the transfer mechanisms at the protocol level. So there's very few people that understand that. And Rune Dev is one of them who understands it most. He put that on full display when he airdropped us like within 24 hours to however many wallets. We got our RSIC Runestone, our RSIC Genesis runes. Immediately, they were the first to do it, large scale. They spent over $400,000 to do that, in addition to the fees that they spent for the initial airdrop and anything else that they might have done, plus the etching fees. So these guys have always put their money where their mouth is and shown and demonstrated their technical capabilities. And then I saw the tweet. So me and my dad was actually writing a Rust script, because another way that you can do this is fan out transactions, where you split your balance between multiple wallets, and then you can kind of speed up the process. But effectively, when you send a Rune transfer, what you are doing is sending the whole balance that is in that UTXO, and then you wait for the one block confirmation, and it sends the balance back. So that's a problem if you have to send a lot of transactions. If you have 10,000 wallets to send to, that's potentially 10,000 blocks, which is a long time. It's like months, right? 80 days, I think, is the estimation.
And probably not cheap either, huh?
Oh, no, because, I mean, imagine, I think the formula I worked out is it for a 10K collection, 10K collections have fewer holders, but just as an example for math's sake, that's with 144 blocks on average per day. Regardless of what the fee is doing, it could be 80 sats per VByte and then 400 sats per VByte because some new mint shows up. You'd have to hit every single block for about 80 days without missing, without sleeping, regardless of what the fee is, to wait if you were doing this from one wallet. Now, you could send that balance to multiple wallets, but that gets difficult to manage, and there's still a lot of risk there. If you have any malformed transaction, you create a cenotaph. So if you're doing that with a large balance, you can burn the Rune supply. Now your supply is dwindled. It's just so much risk. So I had saw that the Rune dev that morning, just yesterday morning, he said 100% complete. Maybe we help other projects. Or any other projects need help, maybe they help. Or maybe we help. And so I just shot him a DM. We don't have, like Blue, you and I have said over and over, we don't have private conversations with these guys that give us any sort of alpha, anything extra. All that we did was conduct the pool.
Right.
We helped facilitate the pooling, the raffle pooling, and that's it.
Yep.
And so they haven't done us any favors. They haven't done us, they haven't provided any not solid, but privatized intel above anybody else.
Well, they helped you. You distributed. They have done us favors in the fact that when you first got your slugs list, didn't you use the RSIC or the RSIC boost list? So they helped with that. So they're such a selfless team. I guess that's what I'm saying. And now they're, obviously offering to help you, and you've done so much for the RSIC team, obviously in the RSIC community, obviously, and you're such a good dude. It's a no brainer, but I think it's pretty cool that they've been willing to help you. I'm assuming Rune Mania Miner, who dropped to RSIC boost holders. I assume because you were second of Runes to airdrop, correct?
Correct.
And we could thank obviously Runes Dev, RuneCoin, and the RSIC team. I mean, that's just like legendary. But Runes Mania Miner had to have been, and maybe Leo beat him with his, but they had to be close to third. And I don't want to speculate here, but I'm guessing that because they dropped to the RSIC community, they probably got some Runes Dev love, but I can't confirm that. I don't know.
They may have, Runes Mania Miner and Rune Kingdom, the little dragons from the eggs. Those both airdropped today, as well as Dog Go to the Moon, Leos. I know that Greg, I forget his handle, a guy named Greg, he facilitated the Dog Goes to the Moon airdrop. The RSIC team may or may not have helped Rune Mania Miner and Rune Kingdom. I don't know, but they definitely helped us. And I'm eternally grateful. The guy is just so humble. I mean, his tech stack is so proficient that it saved us a lot of capital. It could have cost like multiple Bitcoins and multiple weeks to roll that out. And that has all sorts of implications for who's getting it first, who's getting it later. So when they demonstrated their airdrop, you saw how capable these guys are. And I'm just really honored and grateful and humbled to have received that sort of assistance. And we're number 2. You can't take that from us. I don't care what happens now. We're the second team. It's pretty cool.
Hats off to you. Congratulations. And I am also a slug holder. And I am, Scribe, can you confirm this? I'm the only one who minted, because I did it through Luminex and we inscribed our own. And I used I think a black uncommon sat. So I've got to be the only black uncommon sat, right?
That I'm aware of in that collection, yeah.
All right. I don't know how rare mine is, but I think it's purple, which is one of my favorite colors. But I just posted something on here that I'd love to speculate on. Look what Chris is saying. So he's saying FEHU's getting dropped to Runestone holders. And then he does follow up and he says, partially, but it's hard to drop partially to 112,000 people. Well, I guess you can, but then you're just doing a much wider drop. It sounds like you're saying there's 2 accounts. Do you put a lot of stock into that? I personally, and I'm a bag biased here, I think that would probably be a big mistake, but I don't know. What do you think about that?
Well, I'm wondering, first of all, is it to Runestone ordinal holders or to the dog go to the moon rune holders? I don't know. I haven't seen any of that. It sounds like, based off of his comment, it's probably the former. And yeah, there's 112,000 of those. So that's expensive. What is the supply? 111 million of the FEHU? And there's like one at a time per mint. So theoretically they could do that, and that's still only 10% of the total supply. They could airdrop to a lot of different folks. Maybe they're looking for a very wide distribution strategy where they want to just drop to a lot of projects and get it distributed and maybe maintain some of the supply for some exchanges. I have no idea. There's a lot of mystery there, but it's not the sort of mystery that RSIC had, I think. And I hate to like just keep riding the coattails of RSIC, but they've done so many things so well. They put stuff on chain for us to go. We had all these questions, and we could just go right to an inscription and see everything and know definitively this is what's happening. This is how it's going to unfold. This is what to expect. And with FEHU, they don't necessarily have that, so a lot is just sort of left to the imagination.
It's hard not to hear, like, when we talk like blobs, and now we're saying and FEHU. It sounds like and FEHU. Like, it's just these words are so ridiculous. So I don't know. So I'm a big fan of rune number 6. Here, let me get them back in order here. And I can even go in order. Like, I guess my whole mantra, I did this whole, I got inspired on Sunday and then finished it Tuesday. That was that Runes report. Check my, tweets or articles or whatever. And I do a full dive on the 5 I thought were kind of the winners of that first weekend. Decentralized, that was the one I gave just the full salute to. I was never a big Cyber Kongs guy in ETH, but I certainly respected the community. I got dropped a Promethean, thought the art was cool. And the day before, I think I was talking to one of our OG Bitcoin friends, and he's like, dude, it's all like, hold a couple if you think they're going to go up, but it's all Ponzi. Like, take the Bitcoin and get it. So I'm like, Prometheans, they dropped late, whatever. And so I cashed in on a couple of those, like Thursday or maybe even Friday morning. Like, definitely I need to hold up little popsicle sticks with like NGMI and little heart signs and stuff like that, like my friend Chad taught me to do. Smartest guy I know, works at Kraken, awesome dude. But with Decentralized, they got the number 2 slot. An ETH team obviously had killer advisors, right? And they get the number 2 slot. Like, I know it's Kongs is a much more roadmap-y thing. And I'm you guys know my philosophy on roadmap, like, tear up roadmaps, don't want a roadmap because that's always built into prices. But man, does that team deserve massive salutes. They crushed it. They got the number 2 rune. Will Provenance play a huge role in the history of runes? I think top 10, like, unless you F it up, I can't wait to see what FEHU does, but like, that's just such a win for that community and team. And the second I tried to get back in, I'm like, with Prometheans, like, everybody was ahead of me. There's like 296 pending buys. I'm like, and I'm effed, so I don't know. What do you guys think? Hats off to Prometheans. Good job, guys.
Yeah, I respect what they did. I mean, they came into the game late, like 2-3 days before the halving. It was just like, here's an airdrop, and we're gonna drop some runes. And oh yeah, by the way, we got number 2. So they spent a lot of capital. They're technically sound. Some would argue that like, where were you this whole time? Why weren't you involved earlier? I don't really feel that. Like, everybody learns and gains their conviction level in ordinals and runes in this whole space at their own level. And it's a big project that had some success over on ETH. And really, if we want this space to win, we want all of these projects to come over and do well. Again, back to the tribalism. It doesn't matter what project or what network you're coming from, whether it's Solana or Poly or ETH or any of that. If you're coming over to ordinals, let's go. That's good. Now we can win. Now we got a stronger team. Then we can go fight these maxis who are opposing JPEGs. The more JPEGs we have, the more runes we have, the more they're going to have to shut up because the fees are going up. The miners just got their subsidy cut in half. And it was like 8, 9, 10 Bitcoin per block is a fee rate. I should have set up a node. Not a node, but I need a mining rig. I'm gonna go talk to ASICs in a little bit and get my hashling to start mining me some Bitcoin, because these fees, man, I should have capitalized off of that. But
Yeah.
I think bravo to the Decentrals, to the Prometheans, Cybermonk's team. They did really well. Um, Everything has just been executed by a lot of people pretty good.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. Disco, I don't want to steal the show. I'm just going to go down the list here, literally. So dog go to the moon. So this one's interesting. Like, we were OG holders, right? I had, before that snapshot, I probably had, I don't know, 50 or 60 inscriptions. A lot of them on my early stuff. Other things were airdropped. I didn't buy that many, but were airdropped. Unfortunately, though, for me, in the early days of Sparrow, I had one in like 30 different wallets, because that's what you were taught to do, to make sure each inscription was nice and safe and snug, and you weren't mixing them. We didn't have the wallets and stuff yet that could do all that for you. And then I had a couple. I was starting to, like, as Magic Eden came on board, and Leather, whatever it was called before Leather, like, came on board, and now Xverse, which is probably my new favorite. Like, if we get a sponsor on a wallet, Disco or Scribe, like, I think Xverse is, like, I feel like they're getting with the runes and everything. Like, I just really like that team, and I like how it's tied in with Luminix. Anyway, that's a plug, not non-paid,
non-solicited.
Plug. Yeah, not solicited at all. But so and I only got 3 runestones, so I was a little like, and I know they were trying to decentralize it and get it to everybody, but it just, I don't know. I wouldn't even go there right now. Let's just get to the facts. So Dog to the Moon, 112,000 holders. Obviously, it's all about Leonidas and his marketing machine, if you will. Everybody, let's get stoned, like, just endlessly, with their podcast with Trevor and all that stuff, or their spaces, sorry. And that show has great guests, and they do a great job, but, like, he is pumping the crap out of this thing. So he just dropped today. Runestone is now Dog Go to the Moon. So what are your, I have strong takes, and I cashed in on my Runestone. I kept one. I still have to get it on my Sparrow wallet, but I got rid of the other ones that I had. I don't know. What's your take? What's your thoughts on it?
Yeah, I don't like the name. I mean, that's my first thought. I think there's enough dogs. I think it's doable. If you want to, dogs are familiar. Shibatoshi, Doge, all these dogs. Dog go to the bathroom. That's funny. I don't like the name. I think that it could have been so much more creative. I think that creativity is undervalued. So that's my one take. I also think that for a meme to be successful, the community has to rally around the ideal of what that embodies, not just the name, but the image, and how that can be played into society, or just memeology, how they can use that in daily conversation, how they can use that to communicate with tweets. I mean, what is a meme? It's like a picture that communicates. And so the little furry puppy, it communicates as a cute dog. Is it going to the moon? How? Is it on a rocket ship? I just don't like it for that reason. I think Leo is a marketing maniac. He's done really well at getting people to support and follow along. But I sold my rune stones, and I did pretty well flipping those into some other things. Um, it's a cute dog. I like it.
I had to pull up the picture. I mean, you got to give them, like, the name is clunky, obviously, with 13 letters. Maybe there was more creative ways to come up with it, but 13 letters is 13 letters. So they're playing up the dog meme. The photographer, they obviously got a professional photographer. I assume that's a Shiba Inu, like a puppy Shiba Inu with a cute little doggy hoodie. I don't know if that's its real ears or not. It probably are, but it's certainly a super cute picture. But yeah, I don't know.
You know what could have been a better name? I think the Runestone Cowboy, and that just came to me. It's funny. You can play with that on images. You could have a cowboy dressed up wearing rhinestones, runestones. You can play with that. I just think that the dog, it's a cute dog. That's all I'll say.
What was kind of interesting was, like, leading up to the launch and everything like that. Some of the advice that we kept hearing on the spaces tied to what to get involved with and what meme coins was like. If it makes you laugh, go with it. And if you look at least the first top 10, like there's not a lot of humor, worked into those tickers, so it really, that I agree to like, I think there could have been a little bit more of a strategic and, element of creativity of playing with the tickers when you kind of look at what one. I love, Decentralized, and some of the, like, they're cool, but they're not, evoking humor and really kind of getting you in that meme space, if you will.
Yeah, and with 13 characters, you can do a lot. I mean, I'm So Chris from Solana, he put intergalactic, and
which
then
I like.
That's
it. That is a good word. That's solid. One decentralized, one word. I mean, Disco and I would, with our show Decentralized, like we would love to have decentralized. I think the original show name was it Decentralized Dawn.
Yes, that was
decentralized on. So we had the word, but decentralized is so strong, and intergalactic I think is super strong too. But Junior's calling you out, Scribe. He's saying that's a yawn. Runestone Cowboy is not bad, but I think I don't wish, like, I cashed in on them. I made, I don't know what they were, 0.7 or 0.08, whatever it was, but I cashed in on those. Obviously, I'd have a little FOMO or FUD if they mooned. Like, I'm a human being, but and I don't wish it not to. But I guess the way, because you got to remember, Runestone that was the name that Casey was always using, so he kind of hijacked the name right away, which I thought was I thought that was a little poachy to me. But the promotion of it has been, and you got to remember too, like, RSIC wasn't first. People don't remember there was this RUNIX that was like, hey, send Bitcoin to this address and we'll give you some. Like, oh gee, sign me up. Like, where do I go for that? And then RSIC came out, RUNIX, they totally pivoted. They're like, oh God, like we can't be RT shilly anymore, but I consider them pretty irrelevant. And remember, it started as pure RSIC FUD. Then it turned into a counter reaction from Leonidas, which is fine. Like, I think it's cool that there's more out there, and the whole FUD was that it wasn't a fair distribution, and I got a bunch. So who am I to say it wasn't? Had I not gotten any, would have I been sour grapes? I hope not, but I don't know. But the way they dropped it was you had to have 3 in a wallet per a certain time period. Now, I'm not suggesting anything, but that's a pretty easy thing to game when you know when the snapshot is, especially when you were there in that first weekend last January, and you could easily put 3 pieces of crap inscriptions in 300 different wallets, and then you just made yourself like $10 million. So I'm not saying that is what happened, but I don't want to hear fair and equitable distribution. It's just a different type of distribution. And I think, I don't want to go on a soapbox here, but I'm gonna a little. I feel like being one of the early ordinals collectors, there was a group of us in ordinal punks. There's probably separately, there weren't many Bitcoin shroom holders, but there was a lot of probably OMBs, a lot of these OG collections. Like, we just kind of kept our heads down, hung out with each other in Discords, and just talked about collecting. And there was a lot of OG builders in there. And I feel like that show that, and they were doing 2 or 3 times a week, but they had let a lot of voices in early, but they quickly circled the wagons, and it really became a promotion of their own stuff. Now, whether that's Pizza Ninjas or Runestone, I found it. I tried to get up on stage. I got on stage early a bunch of times, and then I could tell that door, like, it was just like requests were being ignored and stuff. And I wasn't like, I wasn't as dedicated and as active as I am now that Disco and I have the show, and now that Scribe, you and I do a Spaces. So I didn't really care either way, but I definitely noticed that. And I know a lot of OG collectors noticed it. And I guess the only thing I would go on record is saying, there's a whole narrative on, whether it's ordinal punks or node monks or all these OG collections that you've heard of them, but you never really heard voices on them, because it wasn't a group who wanted an influencer to kind of pump bags. And I think there's a feeling that this group just kind of circle the wagons and control the narrative. And they have every right to. And I think now they're softening because, you know, you got Good Things Show. You've got so many talented people in this space now with good spaces. There's a lot of crappy spaces out there, but there's a lot of good ones popping up. And I think the narrative is widening. And I think RSIC was a key component in that. Like, we could easily divide this thing into two camps, the RSIC camp and the Leonidas kind of like pump Runestone camp, right? But we're not going to do that because even if pizza ninjas are into R6, which most of them probably aren't, right? Because they're probably in that camp. We would welcome them on this show because, again, we have bag bias like everybody, but we're also being open and honest about it, and we're trying to give a voice to everybody. And I think we need to keep doing that. And I think the people out there need to wake up and start listening to the people like Polymath English and, you know, Stephen Miller. I mean, there's so many smart people like who are into the art and into this whole thing. And those voices are now kind of coming up, and I think we're seeing a sea change, and I want to see it even more.
Yeah, you said it very well. I think that if you look back at the origin of the Runestone and the name of the Runestone, I don't like those very much. I think it was super confusing for people coming into the space to call Runestone, which is the message of these runes at a protocol level. That's confusing. And then to sort of jumpstart this because you did not like the distribution of some other project, which what is really fair? I mean, I don't. To your point about the possibility of gaming, I know you didn't leverage any accusations.
No, not even remotely.
No, not even remotely. But I think that it would be difficult because it's my understanding, having been paying attention and being there. I think that the snapshot was taken before. So January 21st was when we got the RSICs dropped, and I think the snapshot was like the day before that. So the emotional response to the distribution of RSIC triggered a response from Leo to create something more fair to everybody who participated in the first year of ordinals by holding 3 different inscriptions, non-text based. But the snapshot was taken before that.
Okay. So you know what? Then just knowing that piece, I'm actually going to retract that statement because that's a pretty hard piece of evidence trying to show. And I do, for the record, I do think that their team did try and do an equitable large 112,000 holder drop. And, you know, he did that. He started flying that airplane and then started, you know, building the rest of the plane while it was flying. And it you know, I don't want to say flying by the seat of his pants, and he has been pulling it off, and he was the 3rd or 4th to drop behind RSIC and you guys, you know, the people RSIC helped, to be quite frank. So, you know, kudos where kudos is due. Like, I don't want to, you know, I know Junior's saying like, and Junior makes a good point here. He's basically saying, look, I don't agree with Leonidas's full caps method personally, but I can understand why his personality plays out the way it does. So I'm not sure how to interpret that last part of it, but I hear what he's saying. Like, my goal is not to divide Bitcoin into 2 mega camps. I think honestly, it kind of invisible line is, but I like frogs, ninjas, everybody is welcome for honest candor. Like, not every collection, not every founder is sane, not every founder is awesome, but you know, the more people I meet in all the collections we named before, OMBs, pups, and Ordinal Punks, and now shrooms are finally allocated. God bless you, Shroomtoshi. Like, there are some cool, smaller and bigger, and Node Monks, of course, or smaller, and Fomojis. Sorry. I always have to mention the Fomojis. I love that art. Reminds me of the dented fields over on the east side from a couple of years ago. But there's such a galvanizing force, and I want to make sure we always include everybody, because I don't like. The 3 of us aren't going to judge someone by a freaking PFP cartoon character that someone holds. Like, if we take ourselves too seriously, like, forget it. It's over.
Yeah. I think that's what it comes down to, is regardless of however the Runestone and the dog started, regardless of what anybody feels about, if they find themselves on this side of that invisible line or that side, we're all in the same room. There's a line dividing us because we like this one or we like that one, but we're in the same room and we need more people in the room. So if everybody can succeed together, we all succeed better together. And Leo has done a great job at executing. I mean, he's delivered. He pulled off some wild stuff, big airdrop, 4 megas, all of that. So kudos to him for that. I also don't like the all caps. I feel like I'm getting shouted at. I'm glad I'm no longer getting stoned. Everybody's been stoned. But I'm happy to keep mining my R6 as well. And, you know, we welcome everybody. Like, I think there's some people in the group chat that echo the same sentiments. Like, let's stop the infighting. You can dislike the way somebody does something or dislike what they're doing. It doesn't mean that you have to chastise them publicly. It doesn't mean that you have to, go on verbal tirades and set yourself up to die on some hill. Like, let's fight together against the real battle, which is people that are trying to stop ordinals and, you know, like the Luke Dash Juniors and those kinds, and the people that are fighting Bitcoin at large,
100%.
Gensler and Yellen. You know, that's the real battle. Together, we're just, what pitcher do you like? What miner do you like? Let's go fight those other battles together.
Exactly.
And it's kind of a lesson though in that other projects and everyone can learn from a little bit, is that marketing does pay off. You know what I mean? So being committed to the marketing, you can see that does lead to, you know, a share of voice and a share of the mind share, and, you know, being consistent with it and going with it. Even if it's grading people with the all caps and the messaging, you can't necessarily argue with seeing the ball move where it went. So, you know, there is something to be said for, you know, being consistent and putting efforts on that side.
Yeah, absolutely, Disco. Absolutely. Yeah. So I want to move on to, so congrats all. I don't even know. I know they're finally dropped. I don't even know what we haven't even gone to the other, let's just take a look here. So we've got Satoshi. Let's go to Dog Go to the Moon. So our market cap at Dog Go to the Moon is 326 million. Scribe, you might know. I don't know what it was this morning, but that's, I think that's bullish, right? They're up a little.
240. It was about 240 when it launched this morning.
Oh, damn. Okay. So they're already at 326. And when you compare that with RSIC, you're at 240 for RSIC. So they've been kind of hovering around that penny. And then you got Satoshi Nakamoto, which I think is much less. So Satoshi Nakamoto has probably taken the biggest hit, at least short term, probably from Runestone coming in and just making massive waves. So again, congratulations to those folks. It looks like it's doing well. It'll be interesting to see, you know, with 112,000 holders, like, is it going to consolidate more and more in whale hands? I would think so. True. So let's see what the convictions of the whales are, and let's see how much. Let's see what that holder base happens over time. A big holder base is great as long as it's not so spread out that everybody's just like, well, I'll sell my 2 and I'm done. You know, someone wants to be a whale and to be king shit of F Mountain. So, you know, it might as well be with them. I wanted to just touch on, I did a little research on RUNIX. I don't want to spend a ton of time here. I don't want to put this one in the L column yet, but this is basically a layer 2 that they wanted you. So RUNIX, just so everyone knows, got the, what did they get? It was like the 5 token. Where's RUNIX? RUNIX got the 4 token, right? So huge win. Congrats to RUNIX. That's 3,700. He's been a crypto punk forever. I don't know if Robert's behind this one or not. Those two have worked together in the past, I know, but the RUNIX token is RUNIX is a layer 2 that is saying you can trade runes for super cheap, like a penny each trade. But here's where I think they messed up. Look at their holder base. They have 47. The way to start mining RUNIX token, and this obviously is probably just their wallets right now, but the way you have to mine a RUNIX token, I believe, is to buy. Do you remember what it's called, Scribe? You know everything. You have to buy an inscription that is quote unquote their miner. Then you have to go to their website, bridge it over to layer 2 to start mining. And I was like, what a genius idea to get people to buy something and then have to bridge over to get you to activate something by using their technology. Where I think it was a miss is they didn't airdrop to some OGs, so they didn't have the support. And maybe there's plan to, maybe they're holding everything back, but I saw them for sale. They weren't terribly expensive, but there's already rarity levels on there. And I'm like, why would you, if you want to be the L2 for cheap runes trading, you better have a couple million to onboard people, and to get rid of that, you have to make a purchase first before, because you have two hurdles. You have to make the purchase, then you have to bridge to get to their technology. Creating both those hurdles, and this is early. Maybe they have a whole game plan, but doing both of those hurdles, I think was I'm going to call it an L right now, but I'm happy to eat those words, and I'm wishing success for the team if it's a good product. But that's kind of my take. I don't know if you looked too much into RUNIX, but nobody on my timeline's even been talking about it. So it feels like for getting the number 4 slot, that was not well capitalized, if you will.
Yeah, I've got a similar take. I think there's enough friction already as it is in this brand new protocol everybody's still trying to figure out. So to add more layers of friction on top of that is going to be not maybe unnecessary to a degree. I think it just, it could harm them. It could be great. It could work out in the long term, but it also could just compile the learning curve that people are unwilling to walk into, and they'll just overlook it, like I did. I haven't looked into it because I just want to mint something or buy it and hold it and see if it does anything in the ecosystem after I have possession of it. Will it go up in value? Will it stay where it is? Will it serve me within the ecosystem? That's what I'm looking for first. And we looked at, like I said, we were talking to two different layer 2s for a claim function, and also beyond the claims and the runes, just to integrate within our own ecosystem. But there's a lot of friction there, and we want to minimize friction for users, for holders. Any project that's out there wants to do that, because you want to make it easy for people to join your ecosystem and to participate. And so when you start adding things, especially like on day one,
right,
it can create some confusion and maybe not work out. It could be great in the long term, like I say, but short term, we'll have to see.
Yeah, for sure. So dog. I don't know anything about that. Do we just move on? Okay, we don't care. So Satoshi Nakamoto, I think we talked about that before. That's one I'm bullish on. I think the biggest comparison I've seen is to like Ordi. Like I wish they had used some silhouette of Dorian Nakamoto. Like, to me, that's if you want a face of, because it's like a smug, it's almost like that moment where the press, like, I don't remember if it was New York Times or Atlantic or one of those magazines, like, we found him, and it was literally, I think he's a dentist or something, but that smug look of confusion mixed with like confidence, mixed with just pure humble kindness. Like that face has so many emotions in it that it's hard to just get the silhouette for Satoshi Nakamoto. But that said, I'm bullish number 6. I started an X DM. I even started I've been on Telegram now because of Scribe and the Nuke team we're talking to. I've been on Telegram for 5 days now, and I managed to join that chat. And then I was like, Wade's or someone's like, hey, set up a Telegram. These Twitter DM chats are horrible. And I kind of like them. They're limited to 200 people. So I set up the Telegram, and then I posted the link just in the DM group, and it was hacked within 30 seconds. And I go into Telegram, and it just says in black letters, "You've been banned." I'm like, I must have just. It sounds like if you don't know what you're doing with Telegram, you are effed. So Lane, God bless you, Lane, if you're out there, he set the whole thing up, like created a bot for us to do all that stuff. I got to get in there more. Like, I got to get Telegram as a part of my, my social media addiction cycle, but haven't gotten there yet. But I like Satoshi Nakamoto. I like the simplicity of it. I think Owl or someone said this in one of the spaces that I heard. He was like, maybe it wasn't Owl, maybe it was B-Ways, but they're like, the thing we love about Satoshi Nakamoto and just the name, they've got the name. They've got the full name. It's long, but it works because it's Satoshi's name. It's the founder's name. And any news organization trying to cover runes in my opinion, they're either going to go, let's be honest, to Leonidas's, but even that one, Dog to the Moon, that might be tough, but they'll be like Satoshi Nakamoto, and that's the perfect little montagey segue from the cheesy, you know, weatherman guy to be like, you know, and Satoshi Nakamoto, the Anon, you know, like it to me, it's perfect mainstream media fodder, but I don't know. I like the coin. They got number 6, and this is an important point. Only Satoshi Nakamoto on night 1, when everybody dropped, I'm amazed at the idiocy of the mint mechanics and tokenomics of almost every coin. They either minted out in 30 seconds or they had 100% pre-mine or 80% pre, like so many of them. I didn't even know how to use the interface. I'd just gone onto LumenX and immediately I figured out like, this is all garbage. And every time I tried to find a new coin to buy, Satoshi just kept minting slowly. I was looking at the mempool fees and I'm like, and I just kept gobbling more. So for me, yeah, maybe it doesn't have the best meme. It's not Wonka Punka. It's not about that twisted, you know, whatever. But to me, it speaks of like the first plain's a bad word. Disco will think of a better word. He's more English majory than me, but it's just the base coin of the top 10, if you will.
Yeah. I think when normies begin to flood this ecosystem, what are they going to look for? Satoshi Nakamoto. Everybody knows what that is, and I agree. I wanted to make that point earlier and forgot. When you on midnight on Friday night or Saturday morning, wherever you were, there was like 2 options in the top 10. It was Satoshi Nakamoto and meme economics, or FEHU if you wanted to get, you know, wrecked in fees on FEHU. FEHU. So I got some Satoshi Nakamoto. I saw that it was still sitting there, like you said. I was looking at some other stuff, going through the tabs, trying to filter out and see what some of the good ticker names were. Where's RSIC? Where's the dog? What is decentralized? And just putting things together. And I kept seeing that there's still space here. So before fees jumped too high, I minted a few of those. And I'm holding them. They're down from what they were the day after on secondary. And I bought some more on secondary after fees had come down, just a couple. But I think that, again, speaking to like not necessarily mnemonics, I wish that they would have actually used the statue of Satoshi Nakamoto in Sweden or wherever it is, the golden one, or something else. I think it could have been better branding. Either way it goes, when people who are no coiners or on other chains begin to flood to this standard, that's going to stand out. Everybody knows the name. So I think it doesn't have to really be a great meme because they got the name. They got the name and it's sub 10. So that'll do it. So long term, it's a great hold. I don't know if that'll be the Ordi. I don't know if anything will be what Ordi is because it was free mint fair launch from the jump. There are very few of those. Satoshi had a 20% pre-mine. I think meme economics might have had a pre-mine. I forget. It's been so blurry for the past 5 days, but
I think they were both 20. Satoshi Nakamoto had, and I think a 20% free pre-mine sounds high to, like, it feels high to me, but we also know that number 6 Satoshi Nakamoto owns it's the
10 and 11.
10 and 11, right, which is Hammer. I just wanted to show, just so people out there don't feel bad, I feel like this is almost like a scar in battle, and that's the only way I can phrase it, because I think I don't even know how much I lost. Like, I'm going to be candid. I went out with, I think I had like 0.3 or 0.35 or 9. I'm, to some that's probably a whale. To some it's like, you conservative little D-bag. But that's what I went out with. And excuse me, Satoshi Nakamoto is the one. Obviously, I went for meme economics, and I got front ran. Let's see, this is the early one. So I got my first one, just a little nibble. Meme economics, I assume that was the end of that mint. I clearly got, so if you see a yellow thing there, for those who don't know, most probably do, you get front ran. So I didn't even know this till Saturday night. This is all Friday night. So I went to bed at like 10:30. I felt like garbage. I was sick all week. I thought I had got a couple of these, and I had grabbed, I think, these first 3 or 4. Then I went to bed, and at like 4 a.m, I woke up. I couldn't sleep, probably because how can you sleep when runes just launched? So I got up and Satoshi Nakamoto was still minting and gas fees were low at like 4 a.m. So I was like, oh man, I'm a genius. Like I'm going to mint. So I went all aggressive and I got 2,000 and 1,000. That might have been my 0.1 or 0.2 right there. That was most of it. And so I got those, and then someone in, I was with the Scribe Pepe's because Owl and Mr. Tax and Who's and all those guys are just such a smart team. And they were basically like, our team's working all night. We're etching and we're minting, and we're just going to kind of like come in and out and give you intel. Otherwise, if we're not around, talk to yourself. So English was in there. We had a blast. And, I was like, hey guys, like I am so smart. I just got another 3,000 Satoshi Moko and Nakamoto. And someone's like, dude, you know that if it's already minted out, because it won't necessarily say it there, you lose the funds. I'm like, could you repeat that? And then, but I got confirmed. And so I'm like, I got it. I'm awesome. And I don't even think I got congratulations because they probably already knew they had gotten burned on them. And I went to bed, slept all Saturday because I was sick as a dog. And then finally Saturday night after watching a movie with the fam, I went to my computer and I looked. I'm like, what's this orange box here? It's confirmed. I still feel good about this. And then I hovered over it. It was like, what does it say? Hold on. I'm on the wrong screen. Hold on. Check this out. Front run. That's not good. And then I put it all together. I'm like, so everybody gets burned, and Blutoshi was stupid. I probably, had I listened to In Good Things Show more, or had listened to Scribe better, I probably would have known not to do something stupid like that. But is what it is. Here we are.
No, I think it's a learning curve. I actually did something similar. I forget which one it was. It might have been WANKO, MANKO before I knew what the lore was, because I don't really like that. That's just a little bit weird. But it was a limited block, a limited height. There was a block height ending date or time, and so I minted after that. I didn't mint much, so thankfully I didn't burn too much money. But you got to pay attention to the details, and I talked all about it, in the previous week's shows. Like, look at what you're minting. Is there an end height of the block? Is it minted out yet? And I fell for the bait as well. It happens. But that's also exactly why you have to mitigate risk. Never go full bore. You minted a few thousand Satoshi Nakamoto. Imagine if you had just the strong conviction to say, oh, this is it. I'm going to put half of my bag into this. And then you wake up and half your bag is sitting in the miner's wallet and you get nothing. Then you have to go and take the other half of the bag, which you probably already spent on other stuff, and buy on secondary to be like, well, I got to get some exposure. I've got to be in this ecosystem and get some of it back. If it does this multiple, then, I'll make my capital back. But now it's down 30% or something from the other day. So it's a learning curve. There's friction here. It's going to happen. It's not going to change. When you're minting something, the best practice is to just go hard on the mint fees, on the fee rate, I should say. Whatever it is, maybe double it. I usually go about 20% higher. So some of those mints where it was like 2,500 sats per VByte, I was hitting 1,000. I think Luminex would quote you at the high already, much higher than what it was. And I would go custom and add to that. Yeah. That was good. Yeah, that helped out some people, but sometimes it wasn't enough because some of those mints were happening so fast that if you weren't in that limit, miners got a bonus. You get nothing.
Yeah, so I was going to ask you that it goes to the miners. So there's no support desk I can call. No, so the
you can call it Luke.
So it goes. So that fee, yeah, because the mints are all free. So I'm basically paying the fee to the miner, and that's where all the money goes. So they get, all right, well, you know what? Let's support the miners. Let's see. So we might as well go there. WANKO, MANKO. I mean, that, I don't know if it's still the case. It looks like the market cap is 28 million. That sounds low. I'd calculate it in the hundreds of millions. But WANKO, MANKO obviously is Casey's. I'm not even going to go into what it is, but it's this very twisted anime series about the dog. Yeah, I will go there. It's about the dog that has the perfect vagina, and it's the owner's resistance of temptation, which to me just seems odd and bizarre. But as Owl states, like that's what makes a good meme. It either repels you or it attracts you. So we'd be remiss if we didn't bring up Wanko Manko on this show. I don't think there's any takers here, but that doesn't mean, I always say in my big article, I said, like, if you want to pass the first test of being a really good meme coin to success, you got to confuse Blutoshi and have him just like not be able to rationally think about it and probably pass on it. So they've passed that test, but you know, I guess, is this gonna be the one that takes off, or is this gonna alienate, like if normies or other chains, well, other chains won't care, Solana's degen too, but if normies come in, I'm guessing Wanko Manko probably isn't their first play. This is probably pure insider degen play. Fair?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's my take. I mean, there's a small cohort of people who are excited about it, but it's a pretty late mint. I think it's like 800s or something like that. So it's not early. So it relies solely on the fact that it's based off of something that came from the mind of Casey. And there's a lot of those now. Vial, what is the new one? Vial something of hopium. Another thing that he said, just people are just taking all sorts of Casey quotes and etching them. So that's not really got staying power, in my opinion. I think that if it was me, I'm going to avoid those. I think that they'll do well in the short run, while you have people on Twitter, crypto Twitter, talking about them, hyping them up. Whether it's like an insider cabal thing, I don't necessarily know. I just think that there's a group of people that are excited about it. They think it's funny. They think it's, whatever. Maybe they like furries. I don't know. Whatever the case may be, anything that Casey says or does, people are going to try to take that and monetize it, thinking that it's going to be great, right?
Right.
I don't think it's got the staying power. I think Satoshi Nakamoto is just a much better opportunity. And a number of others, just using Satoshi Nakamoto as an example, because it's early. I think if normies come over and they have a choice between this or that, they're definitely going to go with something that's more OG, something that's earlier rune number, more recognizable on the grand scale. So I think it's going to be fizzling out in the near future. It's my opinion.
Yeah. So we're just, so you guys have a gut check. And if anyone's listening who's also a fan of good things like we are, feel free to tell them it was not our intention to go overboard, but there's just so much to cover. So I think we're at 141. Let's go to 2 hours and just kind of, like, 20 minutes sounds like a long time, but I want to cover a couple more and wrap it up. But Marcus made a really interesting point that I want to throw to both of you guys. He says, what's going to be interesting is fast forwarding 4 years from now, single character names are available. So this is such a fascinating part of runes. Casey did that almost slow roll this. Like we said, Dog Go to the Moon's a dumb name, but if they could pick any name they want, they would have had way more options, and the die would have been cast, the mold would have been set right at the launch, and the winners or losers would have been picked right away. Now you've got, I think it'll get interesting when you start to get in the 7 or 8 characters. Like, we love decentralized, intergalactic, these single word memes and names are really popular. What's your thought on early days versus mid days versus the short name? And, by the next halvening, for if people don't know this, every X blocks, it goes from 13 characters, then you're allowed to have 12 characters, then 11, 10, 9, all the way to 1 character. So eventually there's going to be a rune come before block 1,050,000. I actually looked that up. It's 1,500,000 maybe. They're 1 character. So ZA, all those runes. So there's going to be this progression in smartness and how it ties in with ordinals collections. Scribe, I guess I'll go to you first. What's your thought on like the evolution of that?
It's a great question. It's something that I've thought about. I think once we get down to the very, very few tickers or few character tickers, what can you communicate with those? If it's just a letter, what stands to represent those letters? And then at the same time, if you consider the space that we're in now, everybody wants early sats. They're looking for block 9 450X sats. So it could be a juxtaposition where the longer tickers are more sought after in that day, because you can't really rally around a single letter, A. You got so many Z's in FEHU. What is that? What is a Z for? Are they going to try to etch Z? That would be cool. They can tie, number one and the last one
Oh,
together. But if
interesting.
not, if it's just X, maybe Elon wants X and he'll do something with that. But if it's just B or C or D or any of these other letters, what kind of community can you build around that? What kind of ideal can you build around that? And if nothing, then people are going to look to the early tickers, regardless of how many characters are. You can go up to 26 characters, 13 to 26. So you want early sats. People are digging up ancient sats. What did Satoshi mine? What did Casey buy? Maybe Manko becomes something back by then because what was Casey involved in? Did he tweet anything? Who knows? But that's my take. I think the closer we get, I think about the midpoint, there will be a bit of a war. People want those younger 4 or 6 characters, 4 and 5. But as we get closer to 2 and 3, there may be a shift back towards the early ones where these are historical now. These are the earliest. So top 1,000, they might do a lot better. What about you, Disco?
I think that makes a ton of sense. And I think that it's hard to really predict how characters are going to be expressed as things move forward. You kind of had the move with bigger corporations and, even Elon going to X. And it seems like there is a move like right now to kind of get shorter names and shorter titles. But I think that you're exactly right. Like you kind of have this etching on the wall from the beginning of this era. And, that standard is, the 13 or whatever. So I think that'll give so much clout and status when people are looking back at it that I think you kind of have this first gen that's happening. And I can't predict how people are going to be perceiving and utilizing, single characters or short characters in the future. But I do know that forever people look back at this as a stamp in time, as, kind of a placeholder in the first kind of realm of this generation.
Honestly,
Yeah, by the time we get to 20,
go ahead.
sorry, just to summarize, by the time we get
Please.
to 2028, and
Yeah.
you got, the letter Y or whatever it is, think about how powerful it will be to have decentralized and Satoshi Nakamoto. Those are two very, very strong tickers that communicate something, both of them. So I think there's going to be a bit of an arc, and the closer we get to that point, obviously, the market is going to oscillate and be up and down. Who knows how it's going to respond? But the closer we get to that point, I think that there will be a natural draw towards those two in particular because of the ideal that they communicate.
Huh, interesting. So you have given it a lot of thought. I almost had I had a different take, that it was almost bifurcated, that the early stuff would be super hot, but people are always FOMOing to the next thing. But you're absolutely right. I guess I was thinking one letter words would be just the pinnacle, but you're right. It really culminates at 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 letters. Because that's where, I won't name collections, but that's where, Node Monks or that one's probably a little longer, but Azuki or whatever, right? So that's where you have that, you own that one word. And I think the common theme and a lot of what we're seeing is with Decentralized, Intergalactic, and some of these, like, not is cool. I love I'm a big fan. Disco knows this when I write, and Scribe, you've certainly seen it too. I love big fat bullets. I think even his choice of spacers looks really good to me, but a solid word like decentralized, it's just hard to beat. And like you said, there will only ever be one decentralized. Now, if runes are one big Ponzi, or we actually see utility with dexes and stable coins, and L2s are able to trade these for pennies on the dollar, and they truly become I don't want to say ERC20, but the layer on top of the mother chain of layer 0, right? That's settling different transactions for different ecosystems and stuff like that. So it's cool to think about, but it'll be interesting to see if the meme ability can last through. And maybe people want the next shiny thing, but it's not like after Shiba Inu or Doge, those still are, I don't know what their market caps are now. Last time Disco and I checked on our show a couple months ago, they were like 17 and 21 billion dollars. They're probably a little less now, but with Elon bringing Doge on, like, it might be smart to get a little bag there and get, or we may be doing our show and getting our tips in Doge, which is just kind of bizarre to think about. But I never, the way you two phrased it, I appreciate that, because that's getting me to think about it a lot differently. And it in fact, it makes me more bullish that we were here in the beginning on these early things. And it kind of makes me want to etch a couple more than I already have, right? Just even if it's just for grins. Who haven't we, like, obviously number 6 has Runehammer and Cat on Skateboard, which those were 100% pre-mined for those who don't know. So Satoshi Nakamoto was obviously 20% pre-mined. These were 100% pre-mined, which kind of makes me feel better about Satoshi Nakamoto, because like if you only pre-mine 20% of your OG token and these are more meme tokens, I'm just going to throw this out here, and there's no truth to this, and this is not even speculation. Can you imagine if FEHU was, or Satoshi Nakamoto with its Runehammer and Cat on Skateboard, or any combination of there, was RSIC or even Runestone or Decentralized, like, or FEHU? What if somebody had literally, like FEHU saying they Ord Pro, they cracked the nut? There was a lot of speculation that a miner and a super smart dev could remember there was a little fear that morning of that one miner was going to literally grab the first 1,000 runes. And then someone's like, dude, it's just like Casey. They're going to have to think of 1,000 runes and 1,000 tokenomics. So obviously that didn't happen, but we don't know a lot of it. We don't even know dog. I assume that's 100% pre-mined. I can go in there and look, but there's a lot of unknowns now. Lobo, do we know what Lobo is? I don't know what Lobo, even meme economics, I don't think is tied. What do we know?
Lobo is Buoyant Capital. Lobo the Wolf Pup.
Oh, okay. Who's that?
The people the Buoyant Capital, who bought the 4 Megger, the parent of the Runestone, at the auction for 8 BTC.
I got it. Okay, cool. So we know who that one is. And then, but so I guess, I don't know if you want to comment on it's not like I'm the only one thinking of it. People are like, obviously it's basically on the timeline right now. Like, what if my heavy bags own all the other shit runes that not shit runes, all the other runes that are, low inscription or low etch that we don't know about yet. It's like everyone's dream, be like, oh, RSIC owns Satoshi and Runehammer and FEHU and Cat on Skateboard. Yeah. And then we'd all just like we'd have to decide what size yacht we want. Right. So I don't know. Do we think there's any truth to any speculation that Runestone or RSIC or Decentralized team someone might have a couple more on the board than we think?
Me personally, I think it's a bit of hopium to think that RSIC is involved with any of those. I do think that they have some other tickers within the top 50. I don't know if it's number 1 or some of the others. I don't know who's behind FEHU, however you want to pronounce it.
Yodele FEHU. Sorry, I won't do that again. If I know if you guys were with me, be like, why'd you just punch me in the face? Be like, dude, did you just hear what you just did? That's a punch and face move. Okay, anyway, move on.
Yeah, I don't know if they're involved. It would be cool. It'd be a nice little rope-a-dope, but there's no telling. Well, I guess time will tell. We'll be able to learn in the future. I think Uncommon Goods is one that we haven't really talked about. Did anybody mint any of those? I did not, because I can get them when the gas is low. There were a lot of people minting those at a pretty high rate. I'm not sure why. RIP to those sats. The one that's trending now is Toshi Nakamoto. Ordiscan, shout out to T545, the guy who made Ordiscan. That's another tool. Luminex and Ordiscan are my go-to tools for runes right now. They're both so flawless. But you can see what's trending on page 1 when you see Toshi Nakamoto. I don't know if it does well.
Has anyone confirmed that Toshi Nakamoto? Do we know who's behind that? Because I got airdropped in 2 of my bigger wallets. Not a ton, but I got some. So I don't know. I hold a couple. I don't have an inscribed Peppy anymore, but I do have a couple And I just got made fun of in the group for calling it wrong. I called them peepos, but are they pepos? I don't even know. Like they were little pepos, but maybe it was little peepos. So someone correct me out there or just make fun of me. But I wonder if it's them, because wasn't there a whole thing with, I know they said they weren't going to inscribe anything, but yeah, I'm just curious who that is, because I got a couple sent to me. I was like, oh, because Disco's the one who told me. He's like, dude, check Ortiscan. Like, look at the runes page. Like, I have all these runes. I'm rich. Like, don't go look what 80 billion, Rune Mania miners are worth. And maybe they're doing well. I don't know, but I know it's probably light. So sorry, go ahead. What else do we know about any of these?
Not much, but what I do know is what one strategy people might want to employ is to pay attention to the time limit, because using Pepe Toshi Nakamoto as an example, there's only 529 blocks left until that ends. So that may be why it's trending near the top, because it's a finite mint. And whenever the mint does end, you can no longer get it. This way, you have to go get it from secondary. So if fees are low, if they're sub 80 sats per VByte, it's a much better environment to be minting. But I was also able to go buy something on secondary that was cheaper than the mint. Some people they're kind of silly. They're paying X amount to the miners, and then they're selling for less. They're taking a loss. That doesn't make a lot of sense. But that's one, and then another one to
well, remember though, if you're
about,
tapped straight into the artery with Ord, like I'm paying higher in Luminex. Like I know you're a more savvy guy than me, you're using different tools, but Luminex, we're paying about 40, 50, 60% higher. So there might be a small arbitrage play there for people who are getting it cheaper and minting on Ord. Or are you saying, no, they're just like panic dropping?
well, it comes down to the fee rate. I mean, there might be a small fee that Luminex charges, but largely what you're paying is the fee to the miners. It's a very small percentage going to any of the platforms.
Right.
So if you're selling for 5% or 2 or 3 or even 2 or 3% less than what it is to mine, you're taking an L. I don't know why you would do that. But one thing to look at would be like, was it dope grandma coin that mints out in 3 months? That starts minting in 3 months. There's another one, dope ass ticker. I think that might be the runes dev. There's speculation there because he did make that tweet. Somebody was like, hey, make a dope ass ticker. And he said, you got it, dope ass ticker. And then here it is. So
is that on here? So he
might
have done that for like fun or something. Wait, I don't even know. Dope.
That's number 35.
How is dope grandma coin trending if it's not even minting in 3 months?
That's a good question. I'm not sure. Maybe there were some mint attempts and people might have spent some money to try to mint it, because you can still broadcast a mint for some of these, whether the mint has ended or not yet begun, and kind of be screwed. There was one that I saw earlier where that had happened. 10% was minted out. I forget which one it was. Now I can't find it. 10% of the thing was minted out, and it doesn't even start yet. So, RIP to those fees.
There it is.
Yeah, I'm not sure which one it is now.
All right, I want to draw everyone's attention to the curling stones. 13 letters, sub 10K ordinal. Yes, this is one that Disco and I etched this morning. Only one with a curling stone symbol. I don't know if you guys know, but curling stones they're mined in one island off Scottish Isles, which is called Ilsa Craig. It's a teeny little island, and curling stones, the reason they can only mine granite there is because when granite, like if you took your granite countertops and we had like a sword fight with it, they would crumble in a million pieces. These have like this rubbery granite, like it's got different elements in it where they can bang together. So they're basically impenetrable. People don't know this, but one curling stone costs $1,500. That's very expensive. So you heard it here first. Curling stones is $1,500 per stone, right? So, it's just a little facts there are, but I see this, with Canada and their inflation being the biggest curling country in the world, I could see the curling stones rune probably someday taking over Canada's currency and probably be more ultrasound money. These are temporary just guesses, but this is what we're presenting the world. So I wanted to share with you, and we got it under 10,000. So we were thrilled about that. I can't believe it's not trending though. I'm a little
That's a
a
lot to
little
process.
upset. Why didn't with your Twitter following, like
I know.
you
I
retweeted
can
this
press
morning?
button.
What the hell? Like everybody who's listening, retweet Curling Stones. It's the best meme out there. Look at the tweet. Look at Ilsa Craig, and there's way more. There's way more coming. Like you haven't seen anything yet. The whole time we're talking about Scribes, like, you know, we're not going to talk about slow. Like I'm going to super humble, and I am pumping this, but I am totally kidding. It's a fun, fun mint, but I just like when I saw nobody had took it, I guess I don't know why I'd be surprised that no one took it, but to me, like those are the ultimate stored value to store something in a 42-pound stone. So anyway, I'll digress there. I think I've done enough.
No, that's good. I think it speaks to the possibility here. You can just have fun. Now the fees are low. You can have fun etching some stuff. I made one with free mint fair launch just to put it out there, just to have fun with the ticker. My brother did some like straight to zero or just roll the dice, baby, and some other fun little quips, right? And then you've got meme pool dot space that Billy put out there. I love the meme pool. That's been my location on Twitter since I created this account on Twitter. I should have thought of that one. But it's fun. You can think of something that you like that means something or that communicates something. Right now, what's minting is dope grandma coin. Would have thought, and
So,
it's got a
So,
finite.
go ahead, Disco.
so I just want to ask really quick because I think I think we were talking about a time thing, but what's kind of the perception of the season twos out there? And I know we were talking about like, did they have number 21 as well? Like the RSIC team has 21 as well as 8. And, you know, you're starting to see kind of these trinkles of season 2 coming from, I don't know how many other projects are talking about that, but do we just want to kind of touch on what that can mean and what to kind of look forward to?
Yeah, that's a good call.
Yeah, it's a great call. I think. Well, we know what the supply is. Or what is the supply? I haven't even looked.
Of which
Of
one?
number 21. Number 21, R6 season 2.
Oh, let me look.
Um,
Shucks, where am I going? I'm going to
yeah.
Luminex. Am I in alphabetical order? Oh, I'm already on that page. Okay,
It's
recent.
21 billion as well.
Okay, it's the same amount.
So it's the same supply as season 1. Now, what we don't know is what else is planned. So the miners stay on. They've said that we're still mining currently actively right now. Um, we believe there's not been confirmation of that, but I can't see why not. If they stay on, then that's what's happening. We're actively mining, so you can still go and buy a miner right now on Magic Eden for relatively half off
Yeah.
of what they were a week ago. You know, like less than 0.04, and you're going to be able to mine season 2. Now what they do with season 2 and season 1 we don't know. Do they do anything at all, or are they just runes? The purpose of an RSIC is to secure a bag of runes. Maybe it just does that. Doggo is just a rune. It's got a ticker, and they want it to be the number one meme. Satoshi Nakamoto, same thing. It's just a ticker. But it can capture some sort of sentiment and value around the ideal if a community rallies around it. Now, we already have a community rallying around RSIC because they've demonstrated that they know what they're doing technically, and they have capital to deploy to for marketing and for building and supporting the project. And they partnered with Memeland. I think that airdrop is going to be coming soon because the staking was just completed, or at least phase 1. Probably maybe some exchange listings in the future or some other staking mechanisms. We speculated for a long time if there was a DEX, and I don't know if that's really necessary now that you have Magic Eden, but you could definitely have a lot of other features and tools and things that these guys can build that could come into play in the future. If it is coming, if that is the case, we don't know. There's no confirmation, but what we do know, or what I know, is that I want to buy into projects that have good teams that know what they're doing and can execute and can deliver. And nobody has demonstrated that better than the RC team. And so I'm going to continue to support and hold what I have, maybe get some more as I'm able to. Dollar cost average in. If I see a dip, I might get a little bit more. Um, you know, season 2 could be a number of different things we talked about in the past or speculated. Potentially there was some PFPs or some generative art.
Mm.
These things could always turn into raffle tickets. We did a raffle. We conducted a raffle. Maybe each rune counts as a raffle ticket towards something else, or a collection of art. Um, there could be events tied in. Who knows? They said that they're going to be represented somehow at the the Bitcoin Asia event. I don't know what that
Yeah.
looks like. Who from the team is the spokesperson? I'd like to be there and meet you. You know what I'm saying? I'm not flying to Asia, not next month. I got too much going on this month. But maybe Nashville, if they're going to be at Nashville, then maybe we
Ooh.
get some insights. I imagine by the time Nashville rolls around, we'll definitely know a lot more as far as Rarity, Clarity, Season 2, what they might be working on, and all of that. And then at the Bitcoin conference, um, maybe we can dig a little bit deeper. But yeah, I'm here to ride with RSIC. Nobody does it better, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But it's, yeah, and it's pretty badass that they've, indicate that they've put season 2 in place. So you understand that there is a, it's not just a one and done, and that it really is building towards something. So I think that really does kind of galvanize, everybody to stay tuned
Yeah,
and see what's next and be bullish. So I just wanted to bring that up because I think it's exciting.
No, that's a great point,
yeah.
Disco. And I don't know if there's anything we haven't covered. Just Alpha, just to answer your question, because I just saw you post it, and I like the coloring of your icon. Can you go into detail about pre-mining? I'm not exactly sure how it's done. I just stay away. Yeah, I would say for now, like you can go back to listen to our show and you'll get kind of a net of it, or go back to listen to some of our audio spaces. We go into a lot of detail about that, but I wouldn't worry about pre-mining anymore, because it's everybody before the halving who is airdropping or having you buy inscriptions to then guarantee you a certain amount of runes. Now that we are in the 5th epoch, the age of runes. Yes, I am a nerd and I have a 20-sided die somewhere here, but it's not on my desk. That, we're in this new epoch, right? We're in the next halving, and runes are fully live, so you don't have to go back and think about pre-runes. So that said, Disco, what do you think? Like, I think it's almost like
I think
we could go another 3 or 4 hours. There's so much to cover, and there's like pups. I don't know if we gave a shout out to them, but they're killing it. They're token number 13. But I think the only thing this tells me, we have to do this again, like either weekly or just real soon, whether it's a part of the show or not. But obviously this is our special runes edition, but having Scribe on in video has been kind of to meet you face to face, even though it's still Zoom. I can't wait to give you a big hug and meet you in either Nashville or maybe in Austin, or one of these next ones coming up, or maybe even in Asia. But this was awesome, and I learned a ton. There was so much to digest over the weekend. Like, I was sick, then I felt better. Disco, you were out. Scribe, you were dealing with slugs, and then our RSIC team came in and really helped out, but you were also degenning. Like, you were wearing 37 different hats. This is the first chance we've had. You and I have both of us have had long conversations. Scribe and I had a good long one yesterday to kind of catch up on everything. And, but this is the first time we've had a chance just to like decompress and digest everything we've seen and learn, and try and be as candid and open with the folks out there as possible. So is there anything, any final words or thoughts anyone wants to leave before Disco gives the not financial advice disclaimer, or the yeah, whatever?
No, I think it was
I mean, yeah, go ahead, Disco.
No, I just think it was a pleasure to be able to, pick Scribe's brain on this, on kind of the reckoning that we're looking at right now. And it's just, it's exciting. And I think it's just time to buckle up and have some discipline and some patience and let this thing play out. And, it certainly is cool for the folks that have been, tracking the spaces from the RSIC side and everything, to kind of see some validation in terms of the execution and the strategy. And, so you certainly got to feel, you got to feel aligned with a nice operation. And I think it's just incredible. Scribe, your story of kind of them helping you out and stepping in, like, that sort of stuff goes a long way. And it really, we're looking for people and connections in this space that are valid and I don't want to say virtuous, but based on kind of karma and treating people the right way. And I think that we can really look at trying to learn some lessons from that and incorporate that into more of our kind of day-to-day interactions in this space, and kind of knock back some of the toxicity and focus more on the all ships rising. We'll all be in good shape if we kind of help manage ourselves.
Damn, I can't add nothing better to that.
I
Man, you said that very well. Yeah, I echo everything that you just said.
Cool.
Man, You took the words out of my mouth. It's been a joy. Thanks for having me on the
Yeah.
Decentral lens. Happy to do it again. Video is fun. Get to see you guys' faces and see your mouths talk as we communicate with each other. Uh, it's cool. We got 1,800 people watching. I don't know if that means total or live right now, but hey to everybody, join us again next
Yeah.
week if we do it again. If not, stack sats, preserve your wealth. Don't degen too hard. Don't click on any crazy links. Um, and let's stop the maxis together. Maxi Turtles got to put these maxis to bed. Luke Dash Jr., Ocean Mining, the guys that are opposing ordinals. I mean, this week has just shown how foolish that is with their subsidy being cut in half. Casey and Raph built something that's incredible. Man, immutable data storage, it's not going away. Etch your name into the Bitcoin wall. That's it.
Freedom to transact, freedom of speech. They go hand in hand, and freedom for me to buy awesome art and shitty JPEGs too.
All right. So just as always, this show is for entertainment purposes. Nothing should be considered financial advice. Do your own research. Don't get over your own skis. Don't lean too far forward. Don't put it all on one thing. Diversify, be smart, and play the long game. So thanks to everybody for tuning in, and can't wait for another version of this to come out really soon.
Take care, everybody.
Yeah. See you.